This video went so long that when I started, the sun was out. Paper lovers, back in my day, you used to get tagged into Facebook groups when there was drama unfolding. And there's no drama that unfolded quite the same as hashtag Scallopgate. You know, I am talking about the one, the only Scriver Creek. Now, if just seeing these scallops is giving you whiplash, is giving you flashbacks, and you feel some sort of way, just know I get it. I understand. This was maybe not the best time in a lot of planner people's lives. A lot of money was lost. A lot of friendships were ruined. There was a significant amount of doxing that happens in this story. So I do want to start off this back in the day special by preemptively saying doxing is not now, nor has it ever been, a good strategy for getting what you want. I can see some instances where doxing has been used in a positive way, but overall, doxing tends to be very negative. And especially if we look at 2025 and we think to how doxing has extrapolated in the environment we're in now, we just had two duly elected government officials that were attacked at their home after being doxxed. So doxing is very serious, and I'm going to talk about it in this story with some levity. I'm going to try and keep this story as light as possible, but do know that when it gets to the part about doxing, that's not something I endorse. It's not something I would suggest you do, and it is absolutely something that in this story is a really negative experience overall, and we are going to talk about it in really great depth. I also want to just preemptively say that this story is going to be about Scriver Creek, the planner brand, which means I'm not really going to dive into their other businesses. You should know that Scriver Creek and Chrissy and her husband Scott Fields are chronic grifters. This is not their first grift. And when I say the word grift, what do I mean? I mean, this is not the first time they create a business based around a trending product that they produce, sell, and then abandon without ever fulfilling their obligation. Okay, this is a repeating pattern. Prior to Scriver Creek, they had a sewing slash embroidery applique kind of business where they were selling digital files and they didn't make good on those files. After this event, they have a dog harness business that they don't make good on either. So this is a repeating grift. This just happens to be the ugliest of their grifts, and it's the one that I'm going to cover today because it's the one that I actually lived through. So do know that before and after the Scriver Creek timeline, there is additional shadiness that I am not going to cover today. I'm going to stick to the stuff that I specifically remember. And so we're going to start right back in February of 2017. That is when Scriver Creek launches. Their website officially launches in March of 2017, but if you go back through the archives, Chrissy claims that they had been around since February. Neither here nor there. Point is, you need to know they start in February of 2017 and they are closed by November of 2018. An attorney general is involved by May of 2018. So this is a wild ride in a very short time frame, and I'm going to try and cover it as extensively as possible, but rest assured I'm not going to cover every detail. There are going to be some things that I negate or leave out. I tried not to include anything in my timeline that I couldn't verify with a screenshot or an actual receipt of it happening. So there are some things that I'm going to briefly touch upon, but I'm not really going to cover as in depth because I don't have the full written proof of how it went down. And I am trying to keep this to factual based stuff. So let's start in 2017, beginning of 2017. Let me paint the picture for you because it's always important for us to know where we are in the world. So at the beginning of 2017, the planner world is knee deep in FoxyFix mania. We are obsessed with the idea of customizing your own leather and creating your own custom planner. And so this time of FoxyFix blowing up, their ship times being really long, I think you remember I mentioned this in my FoxyFix deep dive, that opened an opportunity for other products to come in and fill that gap where the turnaround time was so long. Ironically enough, the company that we're going to talk about today, filling that gap, had the same exact turnaround time problem, but that's a little bit of foreshadowing. So Scriver Creek comes on the scene and they have created what they believe is something truly revolutionary. And that is a planner that is, for all intents and purposes, exactly the same as Foxy Fix's, except for it's got scalloped edges. And when I say the exact same as Foxy Fix, I mean you can get it in similar colors as Foxy Fix, similar exact leathers as Foxy Fix. You can do the spine the same way that Foxy Fix was doing. You could customize it with your initials the same way Foxy Fix was doing. You could add pockets the same way Foxy Fix was doing, except for they weren't Foxy Fix, they were Scriver Creek. And similar to Foxy Fix, they get a big boost from Planner Society when they first launch their products. So when they first launch, they do something really smart, and that is that they get their product in the hands of some really important influencers, namely the Planner Society. And I mentioned this in the Foxy Fix deep dive, but if you got the Planner Society loving on your product, you were for sure going to have a slew of customers running to buy your product. So when Christy Tomlinson started sharing that she had a Scriver Creek and that she really loved it, well, gosh, everyone else had to have it and had to love it as well. And so it really built up this momentum right at the start of the launch. They also coupled this with sponsoring a bunch of different conferences. And I'm not positive if they sponsored the conference as a whole and everyone got swag, or they just sponsored some tables and certain people got swag. I couldn't really make sense of exactly that part of the timeline. But I do know that they are present at some key industry planner events, meaning that people start seeing this product and instantly are drawn to it. 2017 is a really cutesy time in the planner community. This is peak blush pink, bows, frills, lace edges. This is just peak cutesy time in the planner community, which means the scalloped edge is exactly what the planner community is looking for. There's something very cutesy and just something, a little unique, a little special. Now, one major design flaw that I personally see with this product right out the gate is the fact that your elastic sits right on that hump. They so easily could have shifted the elastic in between two of the humps by, instead of having 5 humps, they could have added a 6th, and then it would have fallen right in the middle of, the 3 on the top and the 3 on the bottom. The fact that they didn't do that, honestly, tells me they didn't really use their products. I personally have this gut feeling anytime I see a product where there is a clear design flaw or usability error, something that is just so clearly the second you start using it is like, why would you ever make it that way? That always tells me that that product is not being used by the person selling it. And that's speculation on my part. I can't really say for sure or not that Chrissy was using her products or not, but I really feel like if she had really thought about and was caring about her product, if you really wanted to create something that was going to last forever, you really would have been more intentional about that design and put the elastic in between a hump. But they didn't. Their elastic goes on top of the hump, and if we look at all of their other examples online, this is exactly how every single planner looks. It's janky. It doesn't look good. It's not cute, in my personal opinion. But my personal opinion is of zero relevance here, because whether I like the product or not, it blows up. And so early on in 2017, they've just launched their website. Their frequently asked questions are as follows. And I screenshot these so that I could read them to you, but I am also going to put them on the screen. Right out the gate, they have processing time issues. So when you go to their website, there's a question: why can I only order on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays? And they say, these limited sales windows keep our processing times down, meaning you won't have to wait too long for your customized notebook. Our current processing times are between 35 and 40 business days, and we don't want to run the risk of that time stretching even longer. Foreshadowing. After all, we're planner people too, and we know how it is. When you see a product you love, you want it as soon as possible. So 35 to 40 business days right out the gate is kind of unreasonable. 35 business days is 7 weeks. 40 is 8. Right out the gate, we're talking 2 months turnaround. That's not any better than Foxy Fix was able to do. So right out the gate, they kind of set themselves up for a little bit of failure. In addition to that, and I think this set of questions is very telling for how they were received from the planner community as a whole. One of the questions is, why did someone who ordered before me get a shipping notification first? i.e., right from the jump, people were noticing that they prioritized certain orders and not others. And their response to this was, due to our production process, orders are fulfilled in batches of leather. Some of our artisan leathers are hand-dyed in studio, and it's more time efficient to fulfill all of these in one batch. I highly doubt that. Likewise, other orders require less strenuous preparation, but come from the same hide, and we'll fulfill all of the orders coming from that hide in one batch. This means that if you order a slate the day before someone else orders the redwood, we might cut the redwood hide a day before we cut the slates. That can sometimes cause later orders to go out earlier, but it won't be by much. That's a lot of words to say that we're not really good at prioritizing orders right out the gate. Following that question, and here's where you start to see they really struggled with this one from the jump. The question is, I saw a prominent planner community member got a free notebook. Is she getting special treatment / jumping the line? And the response to this is, don't worry. No one's jumping the production line, not even the planner famous. We did send a handful of promotional notebooks to select influencers since they're an integral part of growing our business and getting the word out about our beloved family-run shop. These notebooks were always made outside of business hours, and many influencers had existing orders open and paid in full for the price of a notebook. They still waited the full processing and delivery time for their ordered notebook, and we slipped the complimentary sample notebook into an open order. Which... No, you didn't. No, you didn't, Chrissy. You saw important people, and you said, those people need to have a planner because if they have a planner, they'll share it on their page and I will get more sales. We all know this is how you operate, and that's okay to operate that way, but don't lie about it. Don't lie about it. So as I've stated, they open in February, their website launches in March. In May, their first scandal comes to light, and this goes down in Planners Gone Wild. And I want to take a pause here and just kind of give you an idea of what Planners Gone Wild was like around 2017.
Ron, come quick. They've gone wild. The girls have gone wild.
It was full tilt jungle madness.
Whether you're a part of the group now, part of the group back then, never heard of it, Planners Gone Wild is the largest Facebook group for planners out there. Currently, I think they're sitting around 60-something thousand planners. At the time, they were probably closer to like 35,000 planners. Either way, it was a large amount of planner people who were invested in the planner community as a whole. And this includes the good things and the bad things. And because the group is called Planners Gone Wild, there is a sense of wildness that happens in that group. There is a lot of pile-on activity. There is a lot of everyone giving their 2 cents, even though they're not involved and really have zero stake in the game. There is a lot of tag a friend in kind of drama, which is where drama would start unfolding and you would have a group of friends that you would tag in to just see the drama so you wouldn't miss it, because that was our entertainment in 2017. And I'm not saying this is a good or a bad thing. I think we can argue it had some problems as well as some benefits. But in this particular instance, a person decided that they would share some screenshots of a conversation between Chrissy of Scriver Creek and Sarah of another company in the UK who was creating a scalloped-based planner. Now, I want to preface this by saying the idea of a scalloped-based planner is unique-ish, but lots of products in the world exist with scallops on them, and you don't just get to trademark scallops as a whole. And so, short of this person having created the exact same planner, copying is a little bit of a stretch. And so what happens is this person releases a planner that does use scallops, but it doesn't look like this even remotely. And Chrissy reaches out to them and says, like, hey, I have this trademarked. You need to back up off my design. I've worked really hard to make something completely unique, and I have it trademarked, and you need to back up off my stuff. And I am saying it in a much nicer way than she did. Let me read for you the exact quote. She sends a screenshot of her current month's income from Shopify or Etsy. I don't know where she was selling at the time. She sends a screenshot, though, of $17,000 worth of revenue. And she says, "Here's the bottom line, Sarah." This is a direct quote. "I can afford to take this to court. This is my notebook sales this month alone. Can you afford to take it to court? Because if not, I'd back away from the scallops."
What?
You gotta know, people did not take this well. Number one, you don't get to trademark scallops as a whole. That would be like Simply Gilded trademarking bows as a whole. It's not possible. She could probably trademark bows on a washi. I'm sure she could do that. But she's not going to be able to trademark bows in general. You know why? Because bows existed before and after washi. Just like scalloped edging existed before and after planners. And I know this because we all have the word scallops for a reason. And if we didn't know what that meant, then you could say it was completely new and had never existed. But like, we all know what a scalloped edge looks like. Ergo, it's existed before you and it'll exist after you, Chrissy. So not only does she really flippantly attack this woman and, try and just make her feel horrible for creating a product that's similar, but she also claimed to Sarah that her product is patented. And the thing about patents is patent pending doesn't mean it's patented. A patent in the United States also doesn't necessarily apply to the UK, which is where this shop was based out of. And so they continue to go back and forth. At some point, Chrissy does acknowledge that her response to this whole thing was not great. She says, quote, "I've spoken with Sarah and apologized for using this month's sales as a battering ram. It was gross and not at all reflective of the person I generally am and want to be. I spoke out of frustration while trying to take care of obligations and trying to get things handled. I can't excuse or dismiss my super pro choice, and I've apologized to Sarah. I owe her an apology here as well. Some of you know me and think higher of me than this. I just snapped and really needed to not engage. My daughter graduates in a couple days and we have all sorts of family coming in. It's a hectic time, blah, 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 blah. I'm super embarrassed." Now, I read this to you in its exact quote because this is right around the time that Chrissy starts getting really good at using very manipulative wording when she explains why she continues to make poor business choices. It is almost always not her fault. It is always, there's other things going on at home. There was a fire down the street. I couldn't keep up with emails because I was in the bathtub. That's not it. I promise you, all three of those things were actual excuses she used. Her being in the bathtub was actually something that she came up with as an excuse to why she couldn't respond to customer service and emails. Because she was in the bathtub, responding to customer service stuff, but not the emails, just the tags on social media. Anyways, what I'm getting at here is that Chrissy Fields is really bad at social media. She doesn't understand that responding to people and deflecting the blame doesn't go over well with people who really just want their products. Like, if she had just fulfilled those orders, people would have less to talk crap about. But they don't ever fulfill those orders, and so people have lots of crap to talk. Now, I do want to read the rest of this conversation between Chrissy and Sarah, because we do get some additional screenshots as this post carries on throughout the day in PGW. Like, screenshots live forever, unfortunately for Chrissy, and some more screenshots come through. We have Sarah saying, "Hi, Chrissy, I do apologize. I wasn't aware that the design was patented, and it seems really a shame that there's a gap here in the UK, especially considering the cost involved with purchasing from yourself. Although I have no doubt that your product is worth every penny, it just seems unfortunate to not make it available to more people when production can be done for a more accessible price. And she responds, "Thank you for the feedback. It's just the cost of doing business, especially when you need expensive patents and attorneys to protect your intellectual property, not to mention the cost of paying a living wage to the three of us who currently produce them, as well as future folks we need to hire. We actually made the decision just the other day to help with the cost of shipping for our international friends. It's been very well received." And Sarah responds, "Unfortunately, while it's generous, it's not enough to make me and a lot of other customers purchase from you, as there are several other factors to consider, i.e. business charges. I appreciate you needing to protect your IP. As stated, I genuinely meant no harm. I'm just trying to support my son and help some planner girls out." Meaning, listen, girl, I wasn't trying to step on your toes. I was really just trying to make something for me and my local girlies here in the UK. As an aside, it's not okay to rip someone's business idea off, but truly, if you were to look at these two planners side by side, they're not even remotely close to the same thing. And then Chrissy responds with this really hot take. And she says, "Well, my planners are not for everyone. I suppose it's like everyone would like to drive a BMW, but if it doesn't match the budget, it doesn't match the budget. I'd sure like one, lol. And we always have our oops sales. I actually go out of my way to try and figure out how to make my notebooks more accessible. I saw that we are mutual members in the Planner Society, and I can't help but think that you've seen many times my notebooks have been posted in there recently." And then she goes on to say that Christy is a good friend of hers, which I will just tell you right now, the second someone name drops someone planner famous and tries to like woo you by throwing a name out there, it really starts to feel icky and gross. And the BMW comment, like, babes, this is not a Beamer. This is barely a Toyota. Come on, it's not even a Lexus. So anyways, that happens in May of 2017. Keep in mind, they opened their business in February of 2017. By July, more screenshots emerge in Planners Gone Wild. And this time it goes even worse than the last, because in this instance, the screenshots are of Scriver Creek's customer service person talking crap about the customer to Chrissy, except accidentally sending it to the customer. Yeah, that happens. So the TLDR on this post is that customer Jessica orders a planner. They wait the estimated 35 to 40 business days before they start asking for an updated estimated time frame. After a lack of response from Chrissy, they say, "Hey, actually, I don't want to wait anymore. You're posting about being on vacation while also taking orders and still being behind. So why don't you just give me my money back on the 2 orders that I've made, and we can just all walk away from this." They go back and forth. Chrissy sends a very long apologetic explanation about what happened and why. And then the customer service representative, Beth, responds to what Chrissy said, thinking she's responding to Chrissy. And she says, "I completely understand. I was pissed too. Horrible human. I knew from the first email at the beginning of the month. I'm so sorry, and your reply made me cheer. I love you. She's gross." Imagine having the lack of business sense that you would allow your customer service people to talk about your customers to you in that way. 1, to put it in writing. 2, and 3, to accidentally send it to your customer. I mean, I know it was an accident. It's not like that was done on purpose, but they follow it up immediately and say, "Oh my gosh, Jessica, I'm so sorry. I work off my phone and I was sending my husband an email regarding our landlady. I'm so embarrassed and sorry. My Wi-Fi acts up, so I'm constantly refreshing and closing the page to reopen. I have no idea how my message ended up there, but I am beyond horrified. I'll get your refunds processed this evening. And again, I'm so sorry for this message. Lesson learned, no more multitasking, especially if it involves angry texts about landlords. Again, I'm so sorry for this, Jessica. Beth." Now, Beth, that is one of the worst excuses I have ever heard in my entire life. You were complaining about your landlord to your husband, calling them a horrible human. It's a no from me, Beth. And it was a no from everyone else in that post. Not a single person bought the excuse that Beth was accidentally talking about her landlord, not about Jessica. Everyone knows that they were talking about Jessica. And it's just on so many levels, it's so wrong. As a small business owner, if you have a customer that is troublesome, you don't ever talk about them in that way. You can express your frustrations, but if you're a small business owner, I would highly, highly, highly recommend you don't ever put it in writing. Ever. And if you're gonna, you especially double, triple, quadruple check who you are sending that email to. It is completely, sometimes when I am in front of people, I won't even allow my face to not smile when I am thinking thoughts that I know other people don't need to hear. Okay, so like the idea of writing those thoughts down is completely crazy. So, that post goes over like a fart in church. It really just not great. Not great look for Chrissy. And so, I will say Scriver Creek at this time is being hounded by the people of Planners Gone Wild. And not to say that she doesn't deserve to be hounded, because when you have that many outstanding orders and you're not doing anything to get them done, some customers do reserve the right to air their grievances in a public forum. I mean, that's always something that could happen. And so people are airing their grievances in PGW left and right. And eventually Chrissy decides that she is going to make a blanket post because there's a lot of things that she considers to be misleading truths about what's really going on. And one of those truths has to do with the fact that people are spreading this rumor that her pockets are glued on. And she's saying, we always stitch them. They're not glued. Until a video comes out where someone like literally just unpeels the pocket and it comes up like so easy. There's not a single stitch to keep it in place, okay? And so she comes into PGW and she writes this Bible of a post. And I'm going to read it in what I believe was her tone, although I could be inferring some sass that wasn't really there. But I am sassy, so that's how I'm going to read it. She said, "Good morning, PGW. Just a few things I wanted to come out and say directly to everyone. For our late orders, May from customer service began to reach out last night and will finish up emailing all the orders that were delayed from the original 35 business day estimates. More information will be in that email, such as why the order was late, a conservative updated estimate, and a coupon code for your patients. Pockets. We've never talked about pockets due to the fact that recently there have been several copycat scalloped notebooks introduced to the market, coincidentally after Scriver Creek began gaining more and more popularity. In the vast amount of orders that Scriver Creek has sent out since first opening in February, only one has contacted us about pocket durability issue. Scriver Creek paid for the TN to be returned, repaired, and buffed it, and offered a coupon for the inconvenience. Unfortunately, this was not satisfactory to the customer, and we have refunded them in full. Following this customer complaint, the shop was directed to institute blind stitching at key points, as well as an extremely strong leather adhesive used on shoes and couches. Stitching is not as strong as adhesive. You sure about that one, Chrissy? Stitching is not as strong as adhesive, but it is an additional layer of security at those key points that we wanted to have. Blind stitched, meaning that it is hand tacked through both pieces of leather, but sunk into the decorative stitching so as to be invisible or blind stitched. We didn't want there to be a separate stitching line, hence the blind stitching. I was under the impression this shop had implemented this immediately, although there was a misunderstanding between Scott and I that it was not implemented until the shop had more hands on deck. AKA, I instructed them to make the pockets this certain way. It's not my fault that they weren't making the pockets this way. For this, I take full responsibility and deeply apologize. I am sorry. Going forward, all TNs with pockets will be made as I mentioned above, and we are adding more artisans to the shop to get out orders as fast and quality made as possible. If you have any concerns with how your pockets are made at all, please email us at hello@scrivercreek.com, and we will get back to you as soon as possible, but please give us up to 48 hours as we are predictably receiving a high volume of emails at the moment. If your TN is not satisfactory, we will work with you to make it right. If you have an old notebook that you would like to add blind stitching, email us and we will add that for you free of charge. The boys are currently stitching up demo pockets, and Scott will post a video demonstrating their durability today. They're also making mock pockets with the pocket stitched directly to the cover to demonstrate how that doesn't look right and why we chose the leather adhesive and blind stitching instead. If anyone has any questions at all, not about their specific order, please comment below and we will answer those to the best of our ability. As I said above, specific order questions are best handled via email. Thank you again for being here. Now, it is worth noting that anytime anyone ever emailed hello@scrivercreek.com, they did not get a timely response. If they did, we wouldn't be here. At the same time frame, they also launch a planner group to, combat what's happening in all of the other planner groups that are just honestly sharing their experiences about Scriver Creek, and this planner group is called Planners with Manners. And their introduction post is from Hannah Leigh Luge, who says, on behalf of the other admins and I, we would like to personally wish every single one of you a happy Thursday, and we hope you all have a weekend that is as awesome as this group. As we all know, Planners with Manners is a group created by and made up of fantastic girls and guys who simply love planning and being creative without all the drama. I, for one, am so thankful for this group and the people in it that can be so supportive of each other and the shop owners. Unfortunately, there are small businesses and shops out there suffering and being attacked for no reason at all. And the other admins and I would really like to ask everyone that can to show their support to Scriver Creek, a small family business run by Chrissy Fields and her family. I know that she opens up her shop tomorrow at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I don't know about you, but I am setting an alarm for that. If you're unable to do so, I know there are plenty of other ways to spread the love and show your support. Let's follow them on IG, send them an email, send them a DM, or share their sales posts. Let's rock the world with kindness. Let's do what we can do best, pandas. Signed, Angie Jarbo, Michelle Martins, Sherry Ann White, Olivia Garrison, Amber Wood, and the original poster, Hannah Leigh Luge. And by the way, they share an IG and Facebook link to all the Scriver Creek stuff. It's choice. It's a choice. I never joined that group, so I couldn't tell you what they were talking about in there. Apparently not drama. Yeah, it's just interesting that someone would feel so attacked by the internet that instead of just backing away from the internet, they chose to create another group that they would then have to monitor, right? And so that catches us up to November of 2017, and I'm talking Black Friday, Cyber Monday, baby. Now, I want you to put your head in the space of a small business owner and imagine you were perpetually behind to the point where people were doing chargebacks and contacting PayPal about you, and people are complaining about you in planner groups, and you cannot get caught up. Would you have a sale while you were already behind? The correct answer is no, you don't do that. If you're already behind, you swallow it and you take advantage of the next sale period, okay? Cyber Monday is going to roll around another time. They did not have to take in orders at Black Friday and Cyber Monday, but they do. And they take in a disgusting amount of orders, a amount of orders that they could never really get caught up on. To the point where fast forward in February, they have to send out an email to everyone that ordered that they're not caught up with and offer them a solution that, by the way, goes over not well. It goes over not well. So Black Friday, Cyber Monday happens. Everyone knows they're behind. Everyone is asking when their order is going to get made. You have to understand that a lot of people shop Black Friday and Cyber Monday with the intention of giving those things as gifts. And so a lot of people are really upset about the turnaround time during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And it's around January of 2018 that Scott, Mr. Scriver Creek, makes a post in the Scriver Creek. He says, "Hi, everyone. We know that you might have been wanting to hear from us about media, but it's always been Chrissy's example that we work hard and rise above. Some of the current criticism is founded. We need to make notebooks faster. But as is true with most of the internet, some of it is not. It's easy on an anonymous internet to weaponize opinions and present them as unchallenged facts. However, we own that while we've done great in a lot of spots, wait time have in some places been totally unacceptable, and while we struggle to figure out the perfect balance between supply, demand, and managed growth, we have to take the high road and focus on our beautiful family, our notebooks, and you, our wonderful customer. In our experience over the past year, we've had some great successes and definitely identified some areas for improvement. What began as a one-time Christmas gift for Chrissy just a year ago definitely exceeded just one notebook and presented our family with the humbling opportunity to publicly identify our strengths and weaknesses along the way. Our biggest area for improvement in 2018 is turnaround time on production and custom notebooks. In an effort to cut down on turnaround time, we've moved to a primarily ready-to-ship model and outsource cottage production of the ready-to-ship notebooks that we currently offer, so they aren't using valuable shop resources. This will continue until existing custom orders are all the way significantly other way. AKA, we are no longer doing this in-house. We have started outsourcing. We've completely closed the website to custom orders on November 27th and expect to remain closed to custom orders through February. We're using this time to clear books, existing custom orders, offer the option to ship to ready to ship. We have moved to an on-site customer support so we can have better customer service, blah, 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 blah. Like any small business, our first year wasn't without hurdles, but we are still here, still working hard to bring you beautiful scallop notebooks and continuing to improve along the way. We hope that says everything about our character and integrity of our family and business. But unbeknownst to the planner community is that at the same exact time, they have just received a judgment from a lawsuit with one of their leather suppliers. And this leather supplier took them to court over $50,000 worth of unpaid invoices. So, needless to say, Scriver Creek is doing what I like to call the borrow from Peter to pay Paul method. AKA, we are going to sell something that we don't actually have created yet, take that money to pay off invoices that we're delinquent on, and then when these people start wondering where their orders are, we will sell more planners so that we have the money to produce those orders, and then it's just constantly taking money from new orders to pay for old orders. It's a really, really, really bad business model. It's right around this time that this meme goes viral, and it says, in 2018, friends don't let friends buy from Scriver Creek. Do not give this company your money. It's an unfortunate messaging, but it's pretty accurate. Right around this time also is when their frequently asked questions gets updated. And instead of having a 35 to 40 business day turnaround time, they switch it to a 60 business day turnaround time. So it's right around this time that the online harassment kicks itself up a notch, and instead of keeping things to the online space, things start taking a personal turn. They start coming off of the internet and going into the real world, and doxing starts happening. In August of 2018, things start getting really unhinged, and Chrissy puts like a wanted ad in her Facebook group. Essentially, it says, announcing a finder's fee of a free notebook for anyone who identifies the fake or sock accounts of Brittany and Jessica here in our group. You'll be kept completely anonymous. For people who hate me, they spend an awful lot of their days studying me. It literally creeps me out, and it's just unseemly. So, first ones to send me with a DM with that information will get a free notebook on the house from Chrissy. Now, understand that what she is asking people to do is internet sleuth on her behalf. She's asking for people to deep dive on these two people, and she provides their real names, which is the only thing that people have to go off of, which means these two people start getting harassed in ways that are really just kind of gross. There is another instance of a person having harassment happening at work. After sharing that they were unsatisfied with their purchase, they started receiving phone calls at their office saying false things about them, asking for a product. They said, quote, asking for products in a timely fashion or money back is not harassment. However, making anonymous phone calls and accusing someone of child abuse is. And then if you go through all the comments, what you end up finding out is this person doesn't even have a child for you to claim that she was abusing. So it's really just this, like, someone saw she was talking smack, was able to find out where she worked, and just started calling and making up lies about this person. And guys, it's one thing to be, like reaching out to an employer because someone's doing something like racist, like, hey, did you know your employee is doing blackface on the weekend? As an employer, I would want to know that. You making up lies about a person that you don't like just to get them in trouble with their employer is really fucking gross. And that's not the first or the only instance of this. There are a couple other people that claimed that they were also harassed by either Chrissy herself or people that supported Chrissy, because she does have a very loyal group of people who believe in her and what she is doing and all of that. Now, it is ironic to me that you can just tell how the sun is setting. This is such a long story that the sun has now gone down, but I swear we are almost at the end, because how much more could they do? Well, they also, I'm not going to give you the full details on this one because it's a little wishy-washy, but they do a fundraiser for their local school, and then the school is contacted by some internet sleuthers who find out that the donations were never made, or the amount donated didn't match up the amount that they made, suggesting that Chrissy and husband Scott were raising money and then keeping the proceeds instead of actually putting it back into the community that they were supposedly raising it for. I don't have screenshots of that, and I don't have any actual proof of that happening, so I'm just mentioning it as something that was talked about, but I couldn't find the exact detailing on that, other than there is a local community news story. But having worked at a local community news house, I can tell you some of those get spun out a little bit and are not always completely unbiased. So I'm not going to take that as like AP news, you know what I mean? But the point is, they did a lot of shady stuff that time after time, when people checked in on the shady things they were doing, just none of the stuff ever added up. In terms of things I do have screenshots of, Scriver Creek specifically went out of her way to tag the employer of a substitute teacher and claimed that they were bullying her and harassing her since January. And then she says, surely this can't be appropriate behavior for one responsible for educating our youth. So clearly not completely sane behavior, right? Like, it would be one thing if these people were harassing her, been producing the products. It would be another thing if people were harassing her and she was a perfectly good business owner. But like, the point is, like, people weren't getting their orders. They were scamming people out of money time and time again, and their products continued to fall apart and just be a hot mess. So in September of 2018, Scriver Creek makes a official announcement that they entered into an agreement with the Idaho Attorney's General Office to pay refunds to Scriver Creek customers, i.e. the AG gets involved and says, hey, you actually within 60 days need to return this money to all these people. If they purchase something from you and you didn't send it to them, you need to give them their money back. If they purchase something from you and you changed it into a different product, it's not what they ordered, you need to give them their money back. And it's like everything they did, you need to give them their money back. And she makes this post and basically says, this is what it is. If you'd like to get your money back, here's how you do it. And you could always just keep the store credit and not file with the AG. That would be cool too. And, I think when you get slapped down from the AG, it's kind of obvious that the next thing coming in November is that they are going to close their doors. They do eventually just completely shut down. In October, Chrissy does share in a shop owners group that they are really struggling and that they are kind of at their wits' end and not sure what they're going to do with their products. But in November, they do officially say that they are going to close their door, and they say, during this week of Thanksgiving, we wanted to take the opportunity to say that our family is eternally grateful for all of your generous support and love over these past 2 years. I've had the great privilege of traveling across the country and meeting incredible women from all backgrounds and in all stages of life. You've truly inspired me with your love for the planner community and your incredible creativity, and you've given me tremendous joy with lovely creations. Scott and I have made the very difficult decision that for now, in our season of life, we will not be accepting any further orders and are putting Scriver Creek at least temporarily on the shelf. Now, mind you, if they had just stopped taking in orders when they first fell behind, she would still have a business. It's the fact that they kept taking in orders all along. She then goes on to say, over the next little bit, we'll be wrapping up any pending orders, offering refunds on any previously canceled orders. Please be watching for email if you fall into any of those categories. Additionally, we've not made any decisions regarding our existing supply of leather and pre-made notebooks, but we want to catch our breath before figuring that out. And this is foreshadowing, because what do they end up doing with that leather? they open the dog harness business, which goes south immediately. She then also says, as for our beloved Scallops, I do plan to sell the original digital design of our notebooks, probably as an Etsy download for those who have embroidery home machines. This feels right to me because it will bring fresh new ideas, colors, trends, and designs to our patent pending notebook, and also provide women a means for earning at-home income for their families, which has been a long passion of mine. I know many will be excited for the prospect of fresh new artisans providing our design. Newsflash, that doesn't end up happening. No one ever buys her design. No one ever starts reselling her product because you know what? You can make a better product than this. This is subpar. It was never that great to begin with. It always needed another scallop on the edge. It always did. She says, along this path, I have made some major mistakes, and those mistakes have deeply disappointed and hurt people out of respect for them and a very deep desire for peace. This is the right thing for us to be doing. After much prayer and reflection, it is my deepest desire that this decision might help them to be able to move on and find joy, positivity, and happiness in the planner community. Once again, just manipulatively suggesting that anyone that has ever been hurt by her is just a negative, sad person, when that is just not the truth. Most of the people that were hurt by her are perfectly happy, well-adjusted humans who just wanted their freaking money back, Chrissy. They just wanted their money back, okay? Wow, okay. That's the Scriver Creek Saga. And it doesn't technically end there. As I said, they open a dog harness business. That doesn't go well. In the future, they try to reopen their old embroidery, hang me out to dry applique business. That doesn't go well. They are the cockroach that just keeps on coming back if you let them. So we're not going to let them, but we are going to have a little laugh and a little giggle over the time that there really was a woman who was ballsy enough to screenshot her income and suggest that someone should step away from the scallops.
Back off the scallops.
So that is Scriver Creek in a nutshell. And I really, to this day, cannot believe that any small business owner would have the absolute unmitigated gall to say she was being harassed when in fact she was the one harassing the people. To have the gumption to post her own sales numbers and say, hey, look how much money I make. I'll take you to court. That's crazy. That is not good business sense. And if you're ever looking for how to run your business, look at what Scriver Creek did and don't do that. So if you have a Scriver Creek story you want to share in the comments, by all means, please do. If you have any additional details that maybe I omitted or didn't include and you want to share them in the comments, do that as well. Also, if you found this entertaining, if it sent you right down memory lane, go ahead and share it with a friend who you think could also use a nice little waltz down a funnier, more frivolous time in our lives. And if you like this kind of content, if you like me rambling, storytelling, or if you want to see me actually do some fun things with planners, because I do a lot of hands-on crafty goodness too, make sure you give me a subscribe. Go ahead and check out some of my other videos. I am trying to do more content on YouTube and really growing my base here. So every bit of content that you watch, comment, share, like, all the things, it's really helping me to grow on this space, and it's definitely something that is a goal for me in 2025. So appreciate you being here. If you have any other ideas for back in the day stories that you would like me to regale, go ahead and leave me a comment with your suggestion, and I will check those out and do my best to cover as much as I can of the days of planner lore past. In the meantime, friends, I hope you have a fantastic day. Stay light, stay bright, stay crafty, and stay away from the scallops. I will catch you later. That you would not only call your customer a horrible human when, oh God, there's a fucking fly flying in my face. It's like the ghost of Chrissy coming at me. Back it up, back it up, back up, back it up, back it up, back it up. Back off the scallops, ho! The business that blew up and blew out before, you know, I don't know before what. It's fine. We're good. It's fine. It's fine. Hashtag is hashtag is hashtag Scallopgate. Is the fact that your hump that was going to last for this the stands of time that was going to wow had a um so there's that. What is reflecting on my bright? What is it? Is it you? Back off the scallops, biatch! Oops. You stay. Wait a second. Is that in? What's the reflection point? Who hate me? They spend an awful lot of time. A lot of for people who hate me, they spend an oh coincidentally after Scriver Creek began graining. She puts like a wand. So this is a mere. Oh nope. And back off the scallops, ho. We're on Back in the Day. Please. Wow. If you have any other, but that's a story for another day. This video went so long that when I started, the sun was out. 83 hours later.